Lila Morgan was having a really bad day. Her alarm did not go off. She spilled coffee on her only clean shirt, and now her bus was late again. All she wanted was to get home, eat something that did not come from a vending machine, and maybe watch one dumb show before falling asleep. But when she finally dragged herself up the creaky stairs to apartment 3B, she knew things would not get better. The door was slightly open. Lila froze. She was sure she had locked it that morning. She always did. Her heart started to pound. She pushed the door slowly. The living room looked normal at first. Same worn couch, same pile of laundry in the corner, same faint smell of burnt popcorn and lavender. But then she saw the hole in the ceiling. It was not a small hole. It was a jagged, smoking tear right above the coffee table. Bits of drywall and wiring hung like broken teeth. And standing in the middle of the room were 3 tall figures in black armor. They had glowing red eyes and weapons that hissed like angry snakes. Lila dropped her bag. Her legs felt like jelly. One of the armored figures turned. Its voice was deep and metallic. It said something in a language that sounded like grinding stones. Then it shouted a word that made the air vibrate. Nightfang from the hallway behind Lila came a sleepy groan. Alara shuffled into view wearing fuzzy socks, sweatpants, and a t-shirt with a faded picture of a cat riding a rocket. Her long silver hair was messy. Her eyes were half closed. She held a half-empty mug that said, "World's okayest roommate." "Oh great," she muttered. "You guys again." The armored figures raised their weapons. One of them growled in broken English. "You cannot hide forever, Nightfang. The council has marked you for erasure." Alara took a slow sip from her mug. "I told you not to track me here. Earth is neutral ground. And also I was napping." Lila could not move. She had lived with Alara for 6 months. They shared rent. They shared groceries. They shared the last slice of pizza just last night. Alara was weird, sure. She never went out in sunlight. She ate only blueberries and rice cakes. She talked to pigeons like they were old friends. But Lila thought she was just a quiet foreign student. Maybe from Iceland or somewhere with lots of snow. She never imagined this. Alara set her mug down on the counter. Gently, like she was trying not to wake someone. Then she turned to Lila and gave her a small smile. "Hey. Sorry about the mess. Go stand by the fridge. It is safe there." Lila did not understand, but her feet moved on their own. She backed into the kitchen and pressed herself against the cold metal of the refrigerator. Alara stretched her arms above her head like she was getting ready for yoga. Then she flicked her fingers. A tiny spark flew from her fingertip. It was no bigger than a firefly, but it left a trail of dark purple light. The spark hit the floor between the 3 armored figures. For a second, nothing happened. Then the floor exploded upward in a column of black flame. The fire did not burn like normal fire. It swallowed sound. It twisted light. The armored figures screamed, but their voices were gone before they reached Lila's ears. In less than 10 seconds, it was over. The black flame vanished. The 3 figures were gone too. Not dead, not injured. Just erased. Like they had never existed, only their armor remained. It clattered to the floor and then turned to dust. Alara yawned. She walked over and picked up her mug again. She glanced at the hole in the ceiling. Great. Now I have to fix that before Mrs. Gable complains. She looked at Leela, who was still frozen by the fridge. "You okay?" Leela opened her mouth, but no words came out. She pointed at the dust on the floor. Then at Alara. Then at the hole in the ceiling. Alara sighed. She walked over and put a hand on Lila's shoulder. Her skin was warm, but not human warm. It felt like sunlight through old glass. "Look, I know this looks bad, but I am not dangerous. Not to you. I just wanted a quiet place to rest." Earth seemed perfect. No wars, no politics. Just rain and coffee shops and really good thrift stores. "Who are you?" Lila finally whispered. Alara hesitated. Then she smiled a little. "My name is Ilara, same as always. But out there they call me Nightfang. I used to be a guardian, a warrior. I stopped a war that would have killed billions. But the price was high. So I left, came here, tried to be normal." Lila stared at her roommate. The girl who borrowed her sweaters without asking. Who left wet towels on the bathroom floor. Who cried during sad dog commercials. Nightfang. The name sounded like something from a video game or a comic book, not someone who ate cold pizza for breakfast. "Why, Portland?" Alara shrugged. "It rains a lot. Good for hiding. And the coffee is decent. Also, I like your vibe. You do not ask too many questions. Or you did not until today." Lila looked around the ruined living room. The couch was singed. The TV had a crack down the middle. Her favorite plant was now just a pile of ash. She felt a wave of anger rise up. You could have told me. I live here too. What if they come back? They might, Alara said quietly. But I will handle it. I promise. And I will fix everything. I have credits, alien credits. They work on Earth if you know how to trade them. Lila sat down on the kitchen floor. Her legs would not hold her anymore. So all this time you have been lying to me, not lying, just not telling the whole truth. There is a difference. I did not want to drag you into my mess. I really liked being your roommate. You make good pancakes. You let me use your hairdryer even though I melt the setting dial every time. Lila almost laughed. Almost. But then she remembered the black fire, the way those armored men just disappeared. This was not a normal problem. This was not something she could fix with a phone call or a complaint to the landlord. What do they want with you? Alara leaned against the counter. Her eyes looked old suddenly, older than Lila had ever seen them. They want me to go back. To fight again. But I am tired. I have fought for centuries. I just wanted to sleep. To watch Netflix. To argue with you about whose turn it is to take out the trash. Layla thought about all the times Alara had stayed up late with her when she was stressed about work. How she always left little notes on the fridge like you got this or eat something green. How she sang off key in the shower. This was still her friend. Just with a very strange secret, okay? Lila said slowly. Okay. You stay. But no more secrets. If more space warriors show up, you tell me first. And you fix the ceiling. And you buy me a new fern. Alara's face lit up. Really, you are not kicking me out. Not yet. But if you melt the microwave again, we are going to have words. Alara hugged her. It was a quick, awkward hug, but it felt real. Thank you, Layla. You have no idea how much this means to me. Just promise me one thing. Lila said, pulling back. No more black fire in the living room. That was my favorite rug. Alara grinned. I will try, but no promises. Outside the window, the rain started again, soft and steady, the kind of rain that made Portland feel cozy and safe. Lila looked at the hole in the ceiling. Water was starting to drip through. She grabbed a pot from the cupboard and put it under the leak. So what do we do now? Alara picked up her mug and walked to the couch. She flopped down and pulled the fuzzy blanket over her legs. Well, I was in the middle of a very important nap, and you look like you could use some rest too. Come on, sit, I will even share my blanket. Lila hesitated. Then she walked over and sat on the other end of the couch. The blanket smelled like lavender and something else. Something like ozone after a storm. As they sat there in the quiet ruined room with rain tapping on the roof and a pot catching drips from the ceiling, Lila realized something. Her life would never be normal again. But maybe that was okay. Maybe normal was overrated. Alara was already half asleep. Her breathing was slow and even. Lila watched her for a moment. Then she reached for the remote. She found a dumb show about baking cakes and turned up the volume just enough to drown out the sound of her own racing thoughts. Somewhere out there in the stars, people feared the name Nightfang, but here in this small apartment with the smell of burnt popcorn and the sound of rain, she was just Alara. Lazy roommate, pancake lover, blanket hoog, and for now that was enough. Lila tried to act normal the next morning, but normal felt like a costume that no longer fit. She made coffee with shaking hands. She burned toast. She put her shoes on the wrong feet. All while Alara sat at the kitchen table wrapped in her blanket, humming a tune that sounded like wind through crystal trees. The hole in the ceiling was now covered with a tarp held down by duct tape and a stack of old cookbooks. It still dripped. You seem tense, Alara said between sips of tea that smelled like crushed stars and mint. Tense Lila laughed a little too loud. 3 armored aliens burst into our home last night. Got erased by black fire and you think I am tense, Alara shrugged. You handled it well. Better than most humans. Most would have run screaming or called the news. You stayed. You asked questions. You made me promise not to melt the microwave. That is brave. Lila rubbed her eyes. I just do not understand. Who are these people? Why do they keep coming here? They are Krellian hunters, bounty seekers. The galaxy has a long memory and a short temper. Word spreads fast when Nightfang is spotted, especially on a planet like Earth that is supposed to be off limits. Off limits, why? Because Earth is young, fragile, not ready for the wars of the stars. The High Council placed a veil over this system centuries ago. No ships, no scans, no contact. We are supposed to be invisible. But someone broke the veil, and now everyone knows I am here. Layla stared at her, So more of them will come probably, but not today. They need time to regroup, and I put up a new ward last night. It should keep us hidden for a while, unless someone gets too close. Lila nodded slowly. Okay, so we have time. Good. I need time to process this, to figure out what to do. Alara reached across the table and squeezed her hand. You do not have to do anything. This is my problem, not yours. But it is in my living room, Lila said quietly, and my ceiling. And my life now too. Alara looked away. Her silver hair caught the morning light like spun moonlight. I am sorry for that. After breakfast, Lila went to work at the coffee shop downtown. She smiled at customers. She steamed milk. She wrote names on cups, but her mind was far away. Every time the door chimed, she jumped. Every stranger in a dark coat made her heart race. She kept thinking about the black fire, about the way those hunters just vanished, about the name Nightfang. Her co-worker Mia noticed something was off. Hey, you okay? You look like you saw a ghost. Lila forced a smile. Just tired. Bad sleep, Maya nodded. Yeah, I get that. My cat kept me up all night chasing a moth like it was his mortal enemy. Lila almost laughed. If only it were that simple. When her shift ended, she walked home slowly. She passed the laundromat below their apartment. The neon sign flickered. Wash and fold, open late. She had always thought it was just a normal laundromat. But now she wondered. Back in the apartment, Alara was gone. The blanket was folded neatly on the couch. The tea mug was in the sink. Lila called out but got no answer. A small note sat on the counter. Gone to run errands, back soon. Do not worry. Lila did not believe her. She paced the small space. She checked the windows. She listened for strange sounds. Then she noticed something odd. The washing machine in the corner was humming. Not its usual spin cycle hum. This was deeper. Lower. Like a purr. She walked over and touched it. The metal was warm. Too warm. And the floor around it felt strange. Not uneven, just off. Like the air was thicker there. She knelt down and ran her fingers along the base of the machine. Something clicked. A section of the floor slid open. Not with a bang or a flash. Just a quiet sigh. Beneath it was a narrow staircase made of smooth black stone that glowed faintly blue. Cool air rose from below, carrying the scent of rain and something sweet like crushed petals. Lila hesitated. This was insane. She should call someone. The police, NASA, anyone. But she knew no one would believe her. And if Alara had hidden this here, it must be important. She took a deep breath and stepped down. The stairs led to a small, round room. The walls shimmered like water. In the center lay a creature curled up on a pile of socks, old books, and glittering stones. It was about the size of a large cat, but covered in iridescent scales that shifted from deep violet to sea green as it breathed. Its wings were folded like a bat's. Its tail twitched in its sleep. Around its neck hung a small crystal that pulsed with soft light. Lila stood frozen. It was a dragon. A real live dragon, but tiny and cute, and sleeping on her missing left sock. The dragon opened one golden eye. It blinked slowly. Then it sat up and tilted its head. A soft chirp came from its throat. It sounded like wind chimes and crackling fire. Hi there, Lila whispered. The dragon chirped again. Then it scrambled over the pile of socks and nudged a half-melted chocolate bar toward her with its nose. It looked at her with big, hopeful eyes. You want me to take this? The dragon nodded vigorously. Lila picked up the chocolate. It was slightly warm. Thank you, I am Lila. The dragon puffed a tiny puff of smoke. Then it tapped its chest with a claw. Kip, Kip. Okay, nice to meet you, Kip, Kip chirped happily. Then he flopped onto his back and showed her his belly, clearly asking for pets. Lila knelt down and scratched his soft underbelly. His scales felt like cool silk. He made a rumbling sound like a contented kitten. As she petted him, she noticed something strange. Beneath his scales near his heart there was a faint glow. A soft, steady pulse of light that matched the crystal around his neck. Is that part of you? Kip stopped purring. He rolled over and looked serious. He tapped the glowing spot, then pointed up toward the ceiling. His eyes were wide with worry. Before Lila could ask, more footsteps sounded above. She scrambled up the stairs just as the floor panel closed behind her. Alara stood in the kitchen holding 2 bags of groceries. She looked tired but calm. You found him? Alara said softly. Lila nodded. That is Kip. Your dragon. He is not just my dragon. He is my friend. My last friend from home. I saved him when the spire fell. He was just an egg then. Lila looked at the floor. Is that why they are after you? Because of him partly. Kip carries something very old, very powerful, something many would kill for. But mostly they want me. Because I know how to use it. Because I refuse to let them weaponize it. What is it? Lara walked over and put the groceries down. She looked at Lila with eyes full of stars and sorrow. The Heartstone. It is a piece of the first star. It holds the song of creation. In the wrong hands, it could unmake worlds. In the right hands, it can heal them. Kip is its guardian, and I am his. Lila sat down hard on the couch. This was too much. Dragons, Heartstones, songs of creation. It sounded like a fairy tale. But she had seen the black fire. She had felt the strange air in the hidden room. She had met Kip. So what do we do now? We stay quiet. We stay hidden. We hope the ward holds, but what if it does not? Then we fight. But not here. Not on Earth. I will not let them bring their war to your home. Lila thought about her small life, her coffee shop job, her student loans, her favorite park with the big oak tree. It all felt so small now, so fragile, but also precious. You cannot protect me forever, Alara. If they are coming, they will find us. Maybe we should tell someone. The government. Scientists. Someone who can help. Alara shook her head. Humans are not ready. Your governments would either worship Kip or dissect him. Your armies would try to control the Heartstone. It would end in fire. I have seen it happen on other worlds. I will not let it happen here. Lila did not argue. She knew Alara was probably right, but the weight of it all pressed down on her chest. She felt like a child holding a bomb she did not understand. That night she could not sleep. She lay in bed listening to the rain. Alara was on the couch as usual, but Lila knew she was not sleeping either. She could hear her humming that strange tune. Around midnight there was a soft knock at the door. Not a human knock. Too light. Too quick. Lila sat up. Alara was already on her feet. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dark. Stay here, Alara whispered. But Lila followed her to the door. Alara opened it just a crack. Standing in the hallway was a small figure wrapped in a dark cloak. It held up a hand. In its palm was a symbol made of light. A spiral with 3 stars, Alara hissed. A messenger from the veiled spire. She opened the door wider. The figure spoke in a voice like rustling leaves. They know. Varric has broken the veil. He comes for the Heartstone. He brings the Iron Fleet. Who is Varric, a warlord? Half machine, half rage. He believes the Heartstone can make him a god. He will burn Earth to ash to get it. Alara's face went pale. How soon? 3 days. Maybe less. The messenger vanished as quickly as it came, leaving only a single blue feather on the floor. Alara closed the door and leaned against it. Her hands trembled. Layla picked up the feather. It felt warm. What do we do? Lara looked at her. Really looked at her. Then she said something Lila did not expect. We prepare. And you help me. Me, how you know this city? Its streets. Its people. Its secrets. I know the stars, but I do not know Portland. If Varric comes, we will need every advantage, even the small ones. Lila thought about the alley behind the coffee shop, the old subway tunnels no one used, the network of rooftops she used to explore as a kid. She knew this place like the back of her hand. Okay, she said, I will help. But on one condition. Name it. You tell me everything. No more secrets, Alara nodded. Fair enough. They sat at the kitchen table for hours. Alara told her about the Silent War, about the Elven High Council, about the day she chose mercy over victory. The days passed in a strange quiet. Lila went to work. Alara stayed home. Kip napped in sunbeams or practiced tiny fire tricks in the hidden room, but beneath the surface everything had changed. Lila watched the sky more. She noticed things she never had before. The way streetlights flickered at odd times, the hum of power lines that sounded almost like voices, the shadows that moved just a little too fast. Alara taught her small things, how to sense a ward, how to tell if someone was not human, how to hide her thoughts from scanners. It was like learning a new language made of silence and light. On the 3rd night, the messenger's warning came true. Lila was closing up the coffee shop. The streets were empty. The rain had stopped. The air felt thick like before a storm. As she walked toward the alley that led to her apartment, she saw them, 3 figures in dark coats, too tall, too still. They stood by the dumpster like statues, but their eyes glowed faint red in the dark. Her heart jumped. She turned quickly and walked the long way home, but when she reached the front of the building, 2 more stood by the door. They did not move. They just watched. She ran up the stairs 2 at a time, burst into the apartment, slammed the door shut, locked it, leaned against it, breathing hard. "They are here," she gasped. Alara was already on her feet. Kip sat on her shoulder, his scales dark with fear. How many? 5? Maybe more. Alara closed her eyes. Her fingers moved in quick patterns in the air. Then she opened her eyes. They were full of stars. "They are scouts. Varek is close. He will not wait long. What do we do? Leave now?" They packed fast. Alara grabbed a small bag of crystals and tools. Lila threw clothes and snacks into a backpack. Kip curled around her neck like a living scarf, his claws gentle on her skin. They slipped out the back window onto the fire escape. The metal was cold under their feet. The city stretched below them, quiet and unaware. They moved from roof to roof, staying low. Lila led the way. She knew every gap, every loose shingle, every hidden path. They reached the old subway station near the river. It had been closed for years. The entrance was blocked by a rusted gate. Lila pulled a key from her pocket. She had found it years ago exploring with friends. She never thought she would use it. Inside the tunnel was dark and damp. The air smelled of wet stone and old metal. Alara lit a small orb that floated above them, casting soft blue light. Kip chirped softly. "We can stay here for a while," Lila whispered. "Not long," Alara said. "Varek has hounds. They track by scent, by fear, by magic. We need to move again soon." They walked deeper into the tunnel. The tracks were covered in dust. Graffiti covered the walls. Lila pointed to a side passage. It led to an old maintenance room. Dry, hidden, safe. They settled in. Lila shared a protein bar with Kip. Alara sat with her back against the wall, eyes closed but alert. "Tell me about the silent war," Lila said softly. Alara opened her eyes. "It was not really a war. Not like your wars. No bombs, no armies. It was a war of silence, of forgetting. The High Council wanted to erase the Krell, not kill them. Just make them never have existed. Wipe them from time itself. Why? Because the Krell were changing. Evolving. They developed a mind link that let them share thoughts across stars. The Council saw it as a threat. They said it would upset the balance. So they built the Void Engine, a machine that could unwrite a species from reality. And you stopped it. I destroyed it. I stood in the chamber as it powered up. I used the Heartstone. Not to erase, but to protect. To shield the Krell in a bubble of time. But the backlash, it shattered the spire. Killed thousands, including my family." Lila felt a pang in her chest. "I am sorry." Alara looked at her. "Do not be. It was my choice, and it was right. But the Council called it treason. They named me Nightfang, monster of the void, and cast me out." Kip nuzzled her cheek. She stroked his head. Before Lila could say more, a sound echoed down the tunnel. Not footsteps. A low growl, like metal scraping on stone. Alara stood fast. "Hounds. They found us. What do they look like? You do not want to know. Run." They ran. The tunnel twisted and turned. The growls got closer. Lila could hear claws on metal. Heavy breathing. Something sniffing the air. They reached a junction. 3 paths. Lila pointed left, this way, leads to the river. They ran. But the hounds were faster. Suddenly 2 of them blocked the path ahead. They were tall and thin with too many joints. Their skin was black and oily. Their eyes were white with no pupils. They opened mouths full of needle teeth and hissed. Alara pushed Lila behind her. Kip flared his wings and spat a small flame. It hit one hound but did not burn it. Just made it angry. Alara raised her hands. Dark energy swirled around her fingers. But before she could strike, a voice echoed from the darkness. Enough Nightfang, a figure stepped into the light. Tall. Broad. Half his face was metal. Wires snaked from his neck into his chest. His eyes glowed red. He wore armor made of black iron. In his hand he held a staff that pulsed with sickly green light. "Varek, you always were sentimental, Alara," he said, "hiding in tunnels with your pet and your human toy." Kip growled. Lila felt her blood turn cold. Alara stood tall. "You will not have him, Varek. I already do." He snapped his fingers. From the shadows behind him, 2 more figures emerged. They held a small cage. Inside was Kip. But not their Kip. This Kip was limp. His scales dull. The heartstone around his neck dim. No, Lila screamed. Alara staggered. How your little earth tricks are cute, but I have been watching. Waiting. While you ran through tunnels, I took what matters. You left a fake Kip with us. Lila realized. Varric laughed, a dry sound like breaking glass. Yes, a mimic. Good enough to fool you. Not good enough to hold the Heartstone. Now give me the key or I drain him dry. Alara's hands shook. There is no key. The Heartstone is bound to him. It cannot be taken. Then I will take his life. Slowly. Do not hurt him, Alara whispered. Please. Varric smiled. Then come with me. Surrender, and I will let him live. Alara looked at Lila. Her eyes were full of pain. I am sorry, do not do it, Lila said. He will kill you both. Alara stepped forward. I accept. No, Lila grabbed her arm. There has to be another way. Alara touched her cheek. You have been a good friend. Better than I deserved. Now run, go home. Forget you ever met me. Before Lila could argue, Varric's hounds grabbed Alara. They bound her hands with chains that smoked and hissed. She did not fight. She just looked at Lila with sad eyes. Varric turned to leave. Then he paused. He looked at Lila. You, human, you have spirit. I like that. But spirit burns fast. Do not follow us, or you will see what true fire looks like. They disappeared into the darkness, taking Alara and the real Kip with them. Lila stood alone in the tunnel. Tears streamed down her face, but then she wiped them away. She would not let them win. She knew Portland. She knew its secrets, and she knew one thing Varric did not. Kip had left something behind. In the fake Kip's cage was a single scale. It glowed faintly. Lila picked it up. It pulsed in her hand like a heartbeat. Kip had given her a tracker. She ran back through the tunnels, not away, toward the city, toward the fight. She reached the surface near the waterfront. The night was clear. Stars shone bright. She looked up and whispered, I am coming, Kip. Hold on. Then she ran toward the old arcade on Burnside, the one with the broken sign, the one Varric had used as a base. She did not have magic. She did not have weapons. But she had a plan, and she had a friend to save. The galaxy might fear Nightfang, but Varric had made one mistake. He had underestimated a human with nothing to lose, and in Portland that was the most dangerous thing of all. Lila moved through the city like a shadow. The streets were quiet. Most people were home asleep. She kept to the alleys. She used fire escapes. She avoided streetlights. In her pocket the scale pulsed warmer with every step. It led her to the old neon arcade on Burnside. The sign flickered weakly. Game over in cracked red letters. She crouched behind a dumpster across the street. The building looked empty, but she saw the faint glow of monitors in the upper windows, and the hum. That low, deep hum she now knew meant alien tech. She needed a plan. She had no weapons, no magic, just a backpack with snacks, a flashlight, and Alara's small crystal that glowed when danger was near. But she had something else. She knew this city, and she knew how humans fixed things. She remembered the coffee shop's espresso machine, how it would short out if you plugged in too many things at once, how the whole block would flicker. She remembered the city's power grid map from a school project, how old it was, how patchy, how full of weak points. An idea began to form. She ran to the corner store. It was still open. She bought 3 energy drinks, 2 bags of gummy worms, and a cheap USB drive. The clerk barely looked up. She stuffed everything in her bag and kept moving. First, she went to the alley behind the arcade. There was a service hatch near the ground. Rusted but unlocked. She pried it open with a screwdriver from her multi-tool. Inside was a tangle of wires and pipes, the city's old maintenance tunnels. She had played in them as a kid. She crawled through the dark, narrow space. The scale in her pocket grew hot. Kip was close. Very close. Above her, she heard voices. Varric's metallic laugh. Alara's voice low and steady. She stopped under a metal grate. Peered up. The room was big. Once a game room, now stripped bare. In the center stood a metal table. Kip lay on it, chained down. His scales were dull. His eyes half closed. The heartstone around his neck glowed weakly. Alara knelt beside him, hands bound. Her face was bruised, but her eyes burned with quiet fury. Varric stood over them. His staff tapped the floor. You still resist, Nightfang. Why protect this mudball? Why protect this creature? Because he is life, Varric, not a weapon. And Earth deserves to live, fool. All things serve power. Even stars burn out. I will make a new sun from the Heartstone. One that obeys me, you will break it. It is not meant to be forced, then I will break you first. He raised his staff. Green energy crackled at the tip. Lila's heart pounded. She had to act now. She pulled out her phone, opened a music app, found the loudest, most annoying song she could. Then she plugged the USB drive into the arcade's old network port she found in the tunnel. It was still connected to the building's internal system, a leftover from when kids played online games here. She uploaded the song, set it to loop, then she spliced it with a signal from Alara's crystal. The crystal hummed. The scale pulsed. Together they made a frequency that felt wrong, like nails on a chalkboard for alien tech. She hit send. Above her, the lights flickered. The monitors sparked. Varric turned sharply. What is this? Then the song blasted through every speaker in the building. Loud, shrill, chaotic. Varric's hounds howled and covered their ears. Their metal parts vibrated. One fell over twitching. Alara looked up. Her eyes widened. Lila Varric snarled. The human, killer. Two hounds leapt toward the grate. Lila scrambled back. She ran through the tunnel. They crashed through the wall behind her. Stone and metal rained down. She burst out into the alley, climbed a drain pipe to the roof. The hounds followed, fast, relentless. On the roof she turned. She held up Alara's crystal. It glowed bright blue. She shouted, not in fear but in challenge. Hey, ugly. Over here, the hounds lunged. She threw the crystal. It hit the edge of the roof and shattered. Blue light exploded outward. Not fire, not ice. Pure sound. A sonic pulse tuned to disrupt alien tech. The hounds screamed. Their metal joints locked. They fell to the roof twitching. Lila did not wait. She jumped to the next building. Ran across rooftops. Below her, the city lights blinked. The power grid was reacting. Her little hack had spread. Streetlights flickered. Traffic signals went wild. Even the neon sign on the arcade sputtered and died. Inside the building, Varric roared in rage. He smashed the speakers. But the damage was done. His systems were glitching. His staff flickered. Alara saw her chance. She whispered an old word. A word of binding. The chains on her wrists glowed. They were not just metal. They were star iron, and she knew its song. The chain shattered. Varric turned. Too late. Alara grabbed Kip and rolled off the table. She pressed her hand to his chest. The Heartstone flared. Light filled the room. Not harsh light. Soft, warm, healing. Kip opened his eyes. He chirped weakly. Then he breathed, not fire, not lightning. Pure resonance. A sound so deep it shook the walls. The windows cracked. Varric staggered back. His metal parts sparked and smoked. Lila climbed in through a broken window. She landed hard but kept her feet. She held up a bag of gummy worms for Kip. To keep his strength, Alara smiled. You came back always. Varric recovered fast. He raised his staff. You think this changes anything, Nightfang? You are still one. I have a fleet waiting in orbit. Then call them down. Alara said calmly, let them see what happens when you hurt the innocent. She stepped forward. Her silver hair floated as if underwater. Her eyes held galaxies. The air around her darkened. Not with fear, with power held in check. Varric hesitated. He had seen this before. On the day the spire fell, he knew what she could do. But he was desperate. He activated the Heartstone extractor on his staff. Green beams shot out toward Kip. Alara moved faster. She threw herself in front of Kip. The beams hit her chest. She gasped, but did not fall. Instead, she absorbed the energy. Her skin glowed green, then purple, then black. You cannot contain it. Varric laughed. It will burn you from inside. Maybe, she said through gritted teeth. But I can redirect it. She clapped her hands together. The stolen energy shot upward through the roof, not as a weapon, as a signal. A pulse of pure truth. It lit up the sky like a second moon. Every screen in Portland flickered, showed the same image, Varric, his face, his crimes, his plan to burn the sun. The message was simple. This is the enemy of Earth. Varric stared in horror. You broadcasted me to the whole planet, no, Alara said. Just enough to wake the Watchers. The ones who guard the veil. They are coming, sirens wailed in the distance. Not police. Something deeper. Older. The stars themselves seemed to lean closer. Varric knew he was beaten. He vanished in a swirl of smoke and static. His hounds followed, leaving only broken tech and scorched floor. Silence fell. Alara sank to her knees. Blood trickled from her nose. Kip nuzzled her face. Lila ran to them. "Are you okay? Tired?" she whispered. "But alive. Thanks to you," Lila helped her up. Kip climbed onto her shoulder. His scales were bright again. The Heartstone pulsed strong and steady. They walked out of the arcade as dawn broke. The city was quiet, but different. People stood on porches, looked at the sky, talked in low voices. Something had changed. The veil was thin now, but not broken. Back at the apartment, the hole in the ceiling was still there. The pot still caught drips, but it felt like home again. Alara collapsed on the couch. Kip curled up on her lap. Layla made tea. Strong. Sweet. Just how Alara liked it. "You were amazing," Lila said. "So were you. You used human things to fight a star war. That is new. That is brave. I just used what I had. That is all anyone can do." They sat in silence as the sun rose. Birds sang. A bus rumbled down the street. Normal life. But now they knew the truth. Earth was not alone, and it was worth protecting. Alara looked at Lila. "Varric will be back. He will not stop, then we will be ready." Alara smiled. "Yes, we will." And for the first time, Leela did not feel afraid. She felt ready, not as a warrior, but as a friend, as a human who knew the value of small things. Coffee, rooftops, gummy worms, and the quiet courage it takes to stand up for what is right. The galaxy might fear Nightfang, but on Earth she had something stronger. A roommate who would fight for her with nothing but a USB drive and a bag of candy, and that was enough. The days after the arcade felt both calm and charged, like the air before a storm that never comes. Lila went back to work at the coffee shop. Ilara stayed home most of the time, but now she left the apartment with purpose. She walked the streets, talked to stray cats, sat in parks watching clouds. Kip rode on her shoulder disguised as a large iridescent parrot. No one seemed to notice, or if they did, they just smiled and walked on. News of the strange lights and sounds over Burnside spread fast. People called it a glitch, a prank, a secret military test. No one guessed the truth. And that was how Alara wanted it. Earth was still safe, for now, but Lila knew better. She saw the way Alara's eyes flicked to the sky at night, the way Kip's scales dimmed when certain stars rose. Varric was out there, waiting, healing, planning. One evening as they ate takeout on the couch, Alara spoke softly. "He will make his move soon. He has nothing left to lose. How do you know? Feel it. Like a toothache in my soul. He will not attack the city again. Too many eyes now. He will go for the source, the Heartstone itself." What does that mean? It means he will try to force Kip to awaken the stone's full power, to collapse it into a singularity. A tiny black sun. He thinks it will give him control over time, over life, over death. Can he do it? Not without killing Kip, and maybe the whole planet. The Heartstone is tied to Earth now. It likes your rain, your music, your kindness. It will not obey him, but he might not care. No, he will not. Lila put down her fork. So what do? We do not wait for him. We go to him. Where is he? Lara pointed out the window, toward the St. John's Bridge. He is there, in the old tower, using the steel and wires to amplify his signal. He plans to pull energy from the grid, the river, the very bones of this land. Tonight. They prepared quietly. Lila packed her bag with everything useful. Extra batteries, duct tape, protein bars, her multi-tool. Ilara wove spells into her clothes, small wards, hidden shields. Kip sharpened his claws and practiced silent flight. As dusk fell, they walked to the bridge. The wind off the Willamette River was cold. The city lights shimmered on the water. The tower stood tall and lonely at the center of the span. Once used for maintenance, now long abandoned. They climbed the metal stairs. Each step echoed. At the top, Varric waited. He stood in the center of the room, his staff planted in the floor. Wires snaked from it into the bridge's frame. Monitors showed pulsing graphs of energy flow. Kip's Heartstone glowed on a pedestal in the middle of the room. But it was not Kip. Just a copy. A lure. "You are late, Nightfang," Varric said without turning. "We are right on time," Leela said, stepping forward. Varric laughed. The human again. "You should have run while you could. I do not run from bullies." Alara moved beside her. "This ends now, Varric. No more games." He turned, his metal face twisted in a smile. "You think you can stop me with kindness and coffee and human tricks? I have the bridge, the river, the power of a whole city feeding my machine. I'm already winning. Not if the city says no, Lila said. She pulled out her phone, opened an app. Hit send. All across Portland lights flickered. Not randomly. In a pattern, a rhythm. People looked up. They saw the bridge glowing with strange symbols. They did not understand, but they felt it. Something was wrong. Something needed help. Then Lila had done something clever. She had reached out to every hacker, every tech student, every radio operator she knew. She gave them a frequency, a code, a song. The same one she used in the arcade, but cleaner. Stronger. Tuned to Earth. Now it played through every speaker. Every phone, every car stereo in the city. Not loud, just present. A hum of human life, laughter, street noise. Rain on rooftops. Children singing. Coffee machines steaming. It was the sound of Portland itself. Varric's machine stuttered. The monitors glitched. What is this? It is us, Lila said. You wanted power. But you forgot. Earth has its own. Alara stepped forward. She raised her hands not to fight but to listen. The heartstone on the pedestal dimmed. Then it flew to her. Not because she called it. Because it chose her. Varric roared. He activated the machine. Green energy surged through the wires. The bridge groaned. The river below churned. Lightning crackled in the sky. But the human song grew louder. People gathered on the shores. On rooftops. They did not know why, but they played music. Turned on lights. Shouted into the wind. They sent their energy not as weapons, but as love, as home. The heartstone in Alara's hand glowed warm. Not hot, not violent, alive. Varric screamed as his machine overloaded. Sparks flew. His staff cracked. His metal skin smoked and peeled. You cannot win, he shouted. I will burn it all. No, Alara said softly. You will remember. She did not throw fire. She did not erase him. She reached into the heartstone and pulled out a memory. Not hers. His, the memory of who he was before the metal, before the rage. A young boy on a dying world, scared, alone, wanting to protect his sister. She showed it to him. Varric froze. Tears ran down his human cheek. The metal parts powered down. He fell to his knees. The machine died. It is over, she said. He looked at her. Why did you not kill me? Because killing is easy. Healing is hard. And you are worth the hard part. She touched his forehead. Light flowed from her fingers. Not to destroy, to mend. The metal parts softened. Turned to dust. The anger in his eyes faded. Replaced by sorrow. By peace, he whispered, thank you. Then he vanished. Not in smoke, but in starlight. Carried away by the wind, silence returned. The bridge stood whole. The river flowed calm. The city lights shone steady. Lila walked over to Alara. Are you okay, tired? But good. It is done. Kip flew down and landed on Alara's shoulder. He chirped happily. The heartstone now rested deep within his chest. Safe. Sleeping. They walked back across the bridge as dawn painted the sky pink and gold. People waved from the shore. They did not know what happened. But they knew something changed. Back at the apartment, everything was as they left it. The hole in the ceiling. The pot-catching drips. The couch with the burn mark. Alara flopped down and pulled the blanket over herself. Kip curled up on her chest. Lila made coffee. Strong. Sweet. A reporter called later that day. Then a scientist. Then someone who claimed to be from the United Nations. Alara just said no. Lila answered the door and smiled. Sorry, she is busy. Nap time, and it was true. Alara was asleep before the coffee cooled. Lila sat on the other end of the couch. She watched her roommate breathe. The girl who once terrified the galaxy, now snoring softly under a fuzzy blanket. Kip sneezed a tiny rainbow. Life went on. Lila went to work. Alara paid rent in stardust that cleaned clothes better than any detergent. Kip learned to fetch socks and steal pastries from the bakery down the street. The galaxy still whispered the name Nightfang with fear, but on Earth she was just Alara, lazy roommate, pancake expert, blanket hoog, and the best friend Leela ever had. And in the quiet hum of a Portland afternoon with rain on the roof and coffee in the mug, and a dragon dreaming on the couch, that was more than enough.